On this episode of Money Matters with Jim Doyle, estate planning when you own a business. Featuring guest Toni Desrosiers of Abeego with John Clerides and Kavita Kent. Plan more, worry less. This is Money Matters with Jim Doyle.
Estate planning is so much more than who gets your stuff. As a wealth advisor working with business owners for over 30 years, I've seen a lot of good intentions, but I also see the consequences of poor planning, or simply a lack of planning. Estate planning is the preparation of tasks that serve to manage an individual's assets in the event of incapacity or death. These are two vastly different undertakings, and it becomes incredibly more complex when a business is involved. Managing a business on behalf of somebody or preparing a business for sale requires a unique skill set. Are you appropriately prepared? Welcome. With most of their wealth tied up in their businesses, many owners have little planning in place that protects this valuable asset in the event of incapacity or death. Today, I invite you to look at this with us just a little bit closer. In a moment, we're going to meet Toni Desrosiers, but first, let's introduce you to her thriving business.
So we source all of our beeswax in the prairies. This is about 10 kilograms. I invented Abeego in 2008. I was a practicing nutritionist at the time, and I started to ask myself why we take this beautiful, fresh living food and then package it in an airtight, transparent wrap that doesn't support life, and that was plastic. And so I wanted to design a food wrap that nature would recognize, that food would thrive in. So Abeego is made with 5 ingredients. We use a hemp and cotton cloth, tree resin, jojoba oil, and beeswax. Prior to Abeego, we weren't wrapping food in any natural material. I looked to nature and studied natural materials that were adhesive or were antibacterial or antiseptic or waterproof, and I kind of put all those together into something and maybe crossed my fingers a little bit and hoped it worked. So not studying plastic wrap I consider to be my secret sauce because plastic wrap was designed to be airtight. And if you look to nature, there isn't a single skin, peel, or rind in the natural world that is airtight. They all breathe, they all protect, and they're all opaque. So Abeego is produced all in-house at our Abeego HQ in Victoria, BC. And we actually invented a machine to make it. The process of inventing the machine was a ton of trial and error, and I think that the key piece to understanding how Abeego will be produced in the long term was this vintage ironing mangle that I found online. So what it is it's a rotary iron, and it just has a motor, and you would have ironed old linens. And finding that piece of equipment helped us understand that we weren't making sheets, we needed to make rolls. And so that was kind of the jumping off point for everything that we created from there. We started selling at local markets in Victoria, and Vancouver Island was a great incubation place for this idea. It helped me study people's reactions to it and then change our marketing. From there, boutique, eco-friendly, lifestyle type stores started to pick us up quite quickly, and they were just finding us because we were getting great press. Abeego had become like a little bit of a darling in this niche world of food wrap. And then following that, we saw some really big increases in sales when I was on Dragon's Den in 2018, and we started to be picked up by grocery stores. So now we span, e-commerce, the small boutiques, and the large-scale grocery stores across Canada, the US, and Europe.
When we come back, we'll have Toni Desrosiers with us.
It is my livelihood, it is my passion, and it is my #1 obsession.
Welcome back. We're joined now by Toni Desrosiers. Toni, what does your business mean to you?
Oh, Abeego means everything to me. So I am the founder and CEO of Abeego Designs. We make beeswax food wrap, and it is my livelihood, it is my passion, and it is my #1 obsession.
Now, nobody likes to think about this, but when you're no longer here, what do you want to see happen to your business? Do you want it to be continued on behalf of your kids? Do you want to see it sold? What would you like to see happen?
I want to see Abeego exist beyond me in some sort of capacity, whether it's going to my family and something that they can take on, or it's an asset for them to sell to kind of further their own lives. Either way, I'd like to see Abeego grow beyond me.
Well, legacy is an important issue. Let's listen to John Clerides as he talks about the importance of having a great team around you when it comes to your estate plan.
Well, first of all, I have a really good team. So I know my manager will take care of my CFO. I also have it built into my will, who'll be running the business. And if my kids do so, they'll come in after a certain time. They're still here, 26 and 24, and they still have a ways to go if they want to learn and come into a mature business. The key is for them to go and work for other people, see what works, see what doesn't work, see what a fool is, what an idiot, what a smart guy is. And then they come in with a body of knowledge that perhaps I didn't, in fact, I know I didn't have when I started in my business, because I just came from high school, started working for my dad in the restaurant business, and started the wine store. Never went to university. So these my kids will have a little bit of an advantage in that respect.
So Toni, what do you think about John's comments that at least his kids will have a bit of an advantage because of the estate planning that he's put in place?
I think John's right. I think it's a really important thing to put that stuff in place, because his kids are going to come in not knowing what they don't know. And so he's kind of taking care of that for them in advance. Now,
one of the challenges that we've got, and I want to put this delicately if I can, okay, is it kind of up to you to reach out to your estate planning folks, or do you think it's more proactive on their side?
I've had this question myself, Jim. I mean, we hire these really intelligent people in all different disciplines, from the lawyer to the accountant to the financial planner, and they're all very expertise in one area or another, but we really do need that guidance as a business owner from our professionals to kind of take the lead on what we need to do when it comes to estate planning.
And there's no handbook out there that says, hey, review after 90 days, review after a year, okay? How do you set some sort of process for reviewing things?
I don't have a process for reviewing things, and speaking to you makes it very obvious that that's something super important and that all business owners should be looking at.
Well, Toni, don't worry, you're just in our crowd today. When we come back, we'll get to know, where do those money values come from?
We're calling it estate planning, but ultimately we're talking about somebody's death.
Welcome back. We're here with Toni Desrosiers talking about estate planning. Now, Toni, in a recent conversation, I think you were mentioned that a number of your CEO friends probably don't have up-to-date wills. Did that surprise you a little bit?
I found that really surprising. I was shocked, frankly. I personally have a will. I had a child, and so as soon as the child was born, the will was created. That was really important to me. And I was, in a number of conversations with friends of mine that are in high-level positions in companies that earn a really great salary and or own a business. And I was super surprised that wills and estate planning was not a part of their current planning, not something they're doing.
Now, your business has grown a lot since you started out, okay? A little more complexity since those first days?
Yeah, I would say so. It has been 7 years since I wrote the will originally, and the business has changed dramatically, and I haven't revisited the will.
Now, Toni, unfortunately, you mentioned that your dad had been hospitalized, and you were kind of thrust into a little bit of an uncomfortable role, okay? Was your dad's will all up to speed?
I think I was thrusting myself into a role based on some basic conversations that we'd had when I was young that I would be the executor. And no, my dad didn't have anything formal in place as far as a will, and neither of my sisters knew what we were expected to do, and we couldn't reach him or have a conversation with him. So I think because there was no great planning in place, we were all just kind of bouncing off of each other in this emergency setting, trying to figure out what we would have to do.
Now, Toni, I don't think you're alone in this situation.
Yeah.
An awful lot of parents have their kids voluntold. Heaven forbid I say it like that. We have so many families that have an incredible amount of difficulty talking about the subject or the importance of doing this on a regular basis. I've heard rumors that families and goals can change over time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not something that is part of our regular conversation. I mean, we're calling it estate planning, but ultimately we're talking about somebody's death. And that's not something that a lot of families want to dig into on a 5-year rotating schedule.
Now, we also talk about disability as part of estate planning, and as our parents age, chances are they might need a little more help at some point in the future.
Absolutely.
It's a tough conversation, that's for sure. Now, here's a beautiful conversation. I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall, okay? When we talk about being a business owner, we talk about taking risk, okay? Yes. What does that word mean to you?
I'm very, very not risk adverse. I am very comfortable with the idea of risk, and I've always been that way.
Well, I think it goes without saying, to be an entrepreneur means a bit of an appetite for risk. Let's listen to Kavita Kent as she talks about her estate plan that outlines benchmarks every 5 years going forward.
I think it's crucial to maintain boundaries, and I think it's crucial to remember that self-preservation allows you to provide the best version of yourself. And so self-care is something that we teach in the clinic, and it's something that we absolutely live by. In order for you to be able to provide the services and provide the amazing opportunities to your physicians and to my patients, and I need to be available to them, and that means self-care. Knowing that when you take care of yourself, you have the ability to take care of others.
So Toni, when we listen to Kavita's comments, what comes to mind?
She sounds like she has an incredible financial planner, somebody who's sitting down with her and setting benchmark goals that she reviews every 5 years. That's incredible.
Now, I've met a lot of business owners, and the one thing that they often are is busy people.
Agreed.
So they need
Definitely.
a little help to bring some of these things forward. I really want to get into this subject about a turnkey business.
Yeah.
What does this mean to you?
To me, a turnkey business is a business that the intellectual property of the business, the ideas, are assets. So rather than, our business has an intense focus on our brand, and our brand has intense value, but it's only valuable if everything has been documented for the next person to come in and understand what we did, why we did it, what the results were, what the success of that was. So on our marketing and brand side, we keep a lot of information and documents. On our operational side, we have systems and processes that allow somebody to come in with very little experience running a beeswax manufacturing plant who can come in and make Abeego.
Now, so many business owners that I've talked to over the years have all the value tied up in the identity of who the owner is. Is that something similar for your business?
I think we would have some planning to do, Jim. I think there would be some work to do to make sure that I was easily untied from the business. It's certainly a focus for us, and within the leadership team, it's something that we talk about quite often. What would happen if I had to step away from the business? Would my leadership team be able to carry on without me? And I think they could in the day-to-day. I think the day-to-day, 3-month time frame, we'd be totally fine. But beyond that, I think there might be some difficulties they would face.
If the ultimate objective of being a business owner is to create a business that can run itself without you being there, okay, is this a goal that you share, or do you think you've got a little ways to get there yet?
It's definitely a goal. It's an excellent goal and something that I strive toward, but it is something that we need to put more work toward ensuring that that is the outcome. The idea for me came very, very early, and there was two inspirations for it. One was the E-Myth, so that was the very first business book.
Michael Gerver, yes.
Very first business book that I read, and I most certainly didn't want to be the baker. So I was really focused on what would that mean for me to work on my business and not in my business. And the second was working alongside my mom. So my mom worked with me at Abeego early, and she really kind of drove home the importance of like creating a process for things, documenting that process, improving it, and then documenting it and improving it. So those were the two main inspiration points for me to really focus on what it would mean to make a turnkey business for Abeego.
A lot of my younger clients, the idea of estate planning, oh my gosh, it's something I'll do when I'm old. Okay? But I love your perspective that says, listen, sometimes bad things happen tomorrow. Yes. So what drives your process?
I think my process is driven, although I am a very risk-aware person, I'm happy with risk, I'm also a planner. I am also the kind of person who wants those around me to be cared for and comfortable. And I think that my estate planning is less for me and more for the people that I love.
So what do you think are the biggest challenges for yourself when it comes to updating your estate plan?
The biggest challenge is knowing what to update and knowing who to ask and the questions to ask. It feels to me like the kind of conversation that should be really led by the professional. The questions should be asked of me and drawn out of me, because quite frankly, Google can't tell me how to plan my estate. I've tried.
You know, I'm a huge fan of what I call collaborative practice, okay? Where the lawyer talks to the accountant talks to the investment people and the insurance people. You got a team actually working for you as opposed to a silo approach to problem solving.
I would agree to that. That's smart.
Sounds like you got a little work ahead of you. After the break, why it pays to ask the tough questions when you're going to risk it all.
I think that for me, a business is really about building wealth for the future.
Clients have told me, as a wealth advisor, some of my greatest value comes from asking the tough questions. So Toni, I'm going to take you back to Kavita's question, and what would happen if you couldn't come into your business tomorrow?
That is a tough question. I feel very confident that my team could run the day-to-day of Abeego very, very well. But I think it may get complicated for them once it gets into like deeper financial matters, banking issues, just some things that there really isn't a great system in place to support them. Say I'm out of the office for 6 months, or incapacitated and unable to speak to them or log into my bank account.
Now, I talk to a lot of business owners, and I encourage what we call a fire drill preparation. It sounds like you've done some of the work here already.
A little bit of it, maybe not to that degree. We certainly haven't played out the scenario where I don't come to work.
Now, you've told me that business owners take all the risk, okay, and that your business owes you something, okay? Would you like to elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, I would love to. I mean, I started Abeego in 2008, and I have poured everything of myself into the business. My time, my energy, and all of my money. And I've done a great job nurturing it into a business that can pay me back. And I think that for me, a business is really about building wealth for the future. And wealth is not riches, but wealth is like the comfort and the security and the safety that myself and my family deserves, considering the amount of work we've put into growing this business.
Now, Toni, you don't just have a business, you have a business that has a very strong environmental message. Could you share a little bit of that with us?
Sure, yeah. So Abeego is a food wrap, and at Abeego we're on a mission to teach the world what it means to keep food alive. And the reason we are making food wrap to teach the world to keep food alive is because there's an incredible amount of food waste. And a lot of the food waste we're experiencing is a result of improper food storage. So when we let our food breathe and we put it in the right wrap, it's going to extend the life of the food, therefore saving you all of that hard-earned money.
So maybe this is why we don't want Abeego to die. when you might no longer be with us?
No, you want it to go on forever.
Wonderful. Well, Toni, I want to thank you for your time here on the show and your contributions as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Over the years, I've worked with some business owners who feel they have enough risk in their businesses. Why take it on in my investment portfolio as well? But will their investment portfolio meet their retirement income needs? For many families, the majority of their net worth is tied up in their businesses. Unfortunately, untangling a business through an estate plan requires good preparation and great advice from your tax, legal, and financial professionals. When it comes to discussing estate wishes, it's a difficult conversation for many families, an approach we often help our clients get started on. Because things change, your planning must be reviewed on a regular basis. But for busy business owners, this can be something that is easy to put off. Hopefully you have professional advisors who will encourage you to take stock and update or make changes as part of an ongoing process. Now, I wish we had more time. I want to thank Toni Desrosiers, John Clerides, Kavita Kent for sharing their thoughts on money matters. Because financial aspects touch so many elements of our lives, it pays to get great advice. Plan more, worry less.